I think whenever you're dealing with this kind of subject matter, it's so far away from people's experience. It seems so far-fetched that what's really important is to make it seem that it could happen. So I think one of the big not difficulties, but one of the challenges that we've had when we've been making this, and especially Heather and I, is to play it incredibly naturalistically and to treat it in the early stages of the film when people are telling us that all might not be well with our children, with a great pinch of salt, and to treat it with a certain amount of derision. With any good thriller, and especially a supernatural thriller, you have to have an internal logic to it, and you have to try and get the audience to buy into the thin end of the wedge. And if they buy into the thin end of the wedge, then they'll buy into the fat end of the wedge as well. Craig Howard is a writer, an English writer who lives in New York. This is not really ever commented on, actually, which I quite like, because I know a lot of English people who live in New York, a lot of English people who live in LA, and, you know, they just become part of the fabric of the life there. That's not commented on that they're British. He's married to Samantha, who's a teacher, and he's just finished his first novel when the story starts. And, you know, he's a pretty easygoing, ironic, amusing, I hope. Having said that, I don't know if he's going to laugh at all.
I play, my character's name's Samantha, and I'm married to James Purefoy in the movie. It was really great, and we kind of have a good relationship, and I'm a teacher, but I've been trying to get pregnant for a few years, and I can't, so we don't have a lot of money, but we take our savings and pay for in vitro fertilization, and I get pregnant, and I'm really excited, but of course, I don't know that I've been impregnated with the spawn of Satan. But I don't care, because I'm happy that I'm having a baby. It's kind of about, you know, being a mom and just sort of like, it's sort of like you have this purpose and it doesn't matter, nothing else matters. You just have your kid and you want to take care of your kid, or kids. I guess it's challenging to play somebody, you know, having a baby, and sort of that whole sort of idea of having a baby and having not being able to have a baby when you really want one, and then just kind of the whole scary terror kind of story. Well, I guess it's different because I feel it's closer to probably my personality, my normal personality. It's sort of not really kind of sexy kind of part. It's more like a regular person who just, I really want to have a kid and I can't, and so I try the in vitro, and just kind of a normal person really wanting a kid and really wanting to be a mother, and just sort of to what lengths will you go to do that.
The character is Father Carlo, and he is basically he's been given he's the guardian of the spawn of Lucifer, and basically what happens is he's not a very successful guardian, and he loses it, and someone steals it from his cell in the church in Chiesa in northern Italy, and so basically his journey, his task is to track it down, and to basically track down people who have he's found out where it's landed and how it's being used. He's tracked it down to this in vitro clinic, and he basically his quest is to destroy the spawn of Lucifer where it raises its head. And obviously you can play him as someone who's very much on a mission and who believes he's righteous and believes that God is on his side. But the way I've played him really is that he is tormented by the fact that he has to carry out this task. He knows he's got to do it, but he's split therefore into these two personalities, one of which is the character who he really is, Carlo, the priest, who is in effect, you know, a kind of, well, a normal guy, a priest who's trying to cope with the fact that he's got this burden, this task. And in order to cope with that, he's separated the personalities, and so he's rather in denial of this other character, which is the man which we affectionately call the Hooded Sweat. And the Hooded Sweat is the side which carries out the executions, basically, of women who are effectively carrying the spawn of Lucifer once he's tracked them down. He actually despises that side. It's kind of like a Jekyll-Hyde relationship, and he absolutely despises that side of himself. And so whenever he feels he's slipping that way, it's always with dread that he goes that way, so the way he operates, his modus operandi really is trying to talk to these women and convince them that that they are carrying the spawn of Lucifer, of course, which they don't believe.
I think what's challenging for me is what's challenging for all of us, to do a film which is, by some measure, a genre piece, and yet to make it look absolutely new and edgy. Who can resist playing the police dude? I mean, in a genre piece, that's the most traditional character, and especially a policeman who seems like the solution to all of the character's problems, but who knows what twists may occur before the film is over. That gives it a special interest. So it's always a pleasure to play something which may not be quite as it seems.
Dr. Leeds. Well, she's the head of the fertility clinic here, and some might say the mastermind behind everything that's happening here. She's very smart, very hip, very together, very minimal and focused, and able to bring happiness to couples who don't have children. And some might say she's a little warped just because she sticks the devil's sperm into Heather's uterus. Well, hey, you know, that's part of the deal. You know? So, she's a believer. What can I say?
Simon Fellows, well, you've just said so far to me, I'm sorry to say, the absolute best thing about this job has been working with Simon. This guy is a discovery. He has been so much fun to work with.
Simon Fellows is going to be a really big director. I hate to say it, but I think it might be true. I think he's relentlessly optimistic, which I think you kind of have to be when you're filming a small budget film in Romania. I think, you know, you have to be really up every day, because, you know, there are so many setbacks that are thrown at you, and if you don't roll with those punches, you could be knocked down pretty quick. I think what he's done very cleverly in this is have quite a stylistic feel to the setting and the lighting, but within that have very naturalistic acting, and I think, you know, hopefully those two things will work in tandem together and make something rather interesting and vibrant to watch.
He is incredibly creative and I think wildly talented.
Can we break the dialogue down? Break the dialogue down into two halves. One bit there and then a finish here.
Simon, I think, is really great. He's really creative. I really liked how he shot things, and he's a really great person too. I feel like he's fun to hang out with, and he's really collaborative. He's really, really fun and has a great sense of humor, and he's twisted in a good way.
The great thing about Simon is he's having a very strong visual sense of how to create the piece. I think what he's learning about on this job is very much how to work with actors, and he's actually taken the correct route, I think, which is listening to them, and I think that's a real skill, and a lot of directors don't in their first features.
I'm really impressed with him. I think he's a terrific little guy. He's only little. He packs a powerful punch.
And cut!